Well, good afternoon. Happy Friday the 13th. Mark Milam here, your mortgage professional. Let's get right to it. There's no getting around it. Certainly not been the best week for mortgage interest rates. We went from the very best levels for mortgage interest rates in 2026 on February the 27th to now the very worst levels for mortgage rates on March the 13th. Just a 2-week window where we've seen conforming conventional pricing give back about 3/8, in some instances up to a half a percentage point in interest rate. That is not welcome news, but is all around the war in Iran. Let me flip the screen around. We'll take a look at mortgage-backed securities. Here's February the 27th. That was the best pricing that we'd seen. Of course, the war breaking out over that subsequent weekend, and then we've seen this pretty dramatic sell-off this week. We find ourselves here today on March 13th, again, about 3/8 to a half point worse across conforming conventional pricing. What's this all about? Well, it's all about oil. The price of oil skyrocketing. You can see over the past year, oil's hovered anywhere from the high 50s all the way up to maybe about $70 per barrel. But now we've seen it eclipse that level, getting upwards of $100 per barrel for crude. And that is causing an inflation scare. And mortgages are just long-term bonds, and bonds hate inflation. We got news this week of ships being attacked in the Strait of Hormuz. That's responsible for about 20% of the world's oil. And then today, Secretary of War Pete Hegseth saying that we don't need to worry about it. We've been dealing with it and don't need to worry about it. However, oil prices don't agree, and neither do mortgage-backed securities, as we can see right here. In other news, we had the Senate yesterday pass the 21st Century Road to Housing Act. This is a bipartisan bill with a Democrat and a Republican authoring. It's now passed the Senate, on its way to the Republican-controlled House to be voted upon, and if it passes there, it will go to the president's desk to become law. In all candor, we don't see a lot here that gives us hope for improved affordability. The big news here is a ban on institutional investors from buying investment properties. Atlanta, a hot spot for that. So perhaps there'll be a little bit of help there, maybe more inventory at those lower price points for first-time home buyers. But ultimately, investors that own 100 properties or more only control about 1% of the national housing stock, a very low percentage. So ultimately, we think there's other levers that can be pulled that would help homeownership affordability a lot more than this one. But every little bit helps. Of course, we'll take all that we can get. If I can be of any service to you over the weekend, don't hesitate to reach out, mark.milam@highlandmtg.com. Have a good weekend.